Nice. I pledge allegiance to the flag of All right, thank you. So we are here, called to order. Here it is, Wednesday, October 11th, and we're in beautiful Burlington-Kit Carson County Airport. Thank you so much, Dan, for accommodating us. What an amazing airport this is. Has a tremendous history, and look forward to learning some more about your airport here. So you run a fine ship here.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Do we have any, I don't believe we have any amendments to the agenda.
Done from staff, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, let's go to our first action item, which is the approval. We have two sets of minutes. One for the August 22nd CAB staff workshop on August 22nd. And I think can we do them both at the same time?
You do individually.
Okay, so let's do look for a motion for approval of the minutes to the CAB staff workshop on August 22nd.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, let's do the minutes for August 23rd, the regular CAB meeting. Looking for a motion for approval of those minutes.
So
Okay, second.
second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Okay, we're almost half done, correct? Okay, public comments. Do we have some guests here, or anybody like to say anything? Any comments? Okay. Seeing none, let's start with our board reports, and let's start on the right there. Let's start with actually, let's start with Mark.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm sorry that for personal reasons, I couldn't fly out today and join you. And Dan, I'd like to take a rain check if I could and come visit your airport. So it would have been a nice morning to fly. So again, I apologize for not being there. I have only two issues today, or two topics. One, I'm hearing from pilots that I know that operate in and out of Aspen, Pickens County Airport. Their concerns about the negotiation that's going on between the county and Atlantic Aviation, and the cost increases that are expected both in the base rent and the guaranteed annual fuel flow fuel flowage fees. What's being negotiated is about 100-fold increase, and so there's real concern by the pilot community and the businesses that are at the airport about what that's going to do to fee increases, especially again for local and transient pilots. And so it's something that I think we should be just keeping our eye on as well. That's an important airport to the state of Colorado, certainly, but there are issues, and they have another meeting today. The county has another meeting today, and hopefully pilots are speaking to that. But the concern that I've heard is just around pilots being able to add people that have aircraft at the airport being able to get their message across about both usage fees and about hangar fees. Then the second note, just that I think we're all watching Mike Whitaker's confirmation hearing as a new FAA administrator, and Dave sent around a link to look if you want to watch his Senate confirmation hearing, which was really interesting because there were a lot of questions that were asked of Mr. Whitaker that are very relevant to us in Colorado. A lot of questions around advanced air mobility and how the FAA is going to handle that, especially airspace management. Many questions from the senators around and congressmen around airport electrification, and what's the FAA's role going to be in that? questions also around rural air service, and of course the ones that are obvious to all of us around traffic control, staffing, training, and the technology used in the ATC system. Mr. Whitaker was there during the next gen, and he talked about that next gen accomplished what they'd hoped. It just took much longer than it needed to be. Again, concerns also around pilot training rules and the use of sims, and Mike had some good answers for that as well. He's got the support of the associations and the airlines. He is a private pilot, got his license in 2014, and then a year later had a incident with a Cessna 172 on a porpoise landing. So and the airplane was damaged. So he had the opportunity to experience the FAA side of how they handle those kind of things as well. So anyway, keep an eye on it. Last thing I would say about that is, and Dave and I talked about this, is Senator Hickenlooper asked Mr. Whitaker 3 questions. One related, had really made more statements than questions related to the noise around Centennial Airport. So his constituents are pushing him on that, about essential air service as well. And so I think that's good that that Senator Hickenlooper is looking at that. And then the avgas issue, especially as it relates around Jeffco. And so we think that there's probably, it would be good to have another conversation with the senator about those issues to make sure he has the full breadth of the story. So, Kenny, that's my report.
All right, hey, Mark, when will the decision be made about Whitaker?
I looked for that, and I talked to Pete Bunce out at Gamma, and nobody knows the right answer to that. So I really don't know.
Seems like he has pretty good bipartisan support, so that's good.
He does, even those that were pretty strong critics of Mr. Washington have been much more silent, I think, in this regard. So, which again, I think it's a shame. Would have been great for Colorado and great for the country to have Mr. Washington, but Mike Whitaker, who I had the opportunity to work with when he was at United Airlines, is absolutely a great candidate. I think it's going to be helpful to us, to the industry, as once he's confirmed.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Chaz.
Great,
What's going on in your neighborhood?
I have a very short report today. I do appreciate Mark bringing up the avgas, especially at Rocky Mountain. That's something that we're watching closely. Talking to the other commissioners like Tracy Kraft are, trying to find out where they're headed with this and what their expectations are, especially as it applies to other airports. Out at Colorado Air and Space Board, first off, we're still applying for our reapplication of the spaceport's license. I think that's going along fairly well. I haven't heard anything bad about it, so I think we should be able to obtain that shortly. The fencing should be done here shortly, so that's also a good thing. That'll change a lot of our operations out there after that gets done. We've done a lot of improvements around the area, and I don't know if everybody's aware that there's about 8,000 acres of development just to the south of the Colorado Air and Space Board. They're pretty much done with all the infrastructure, and now we're starting to see some vertical structures going in. So that's kind of the report I have, and I appreciate it.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Mr. Lee.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a few items. Colorado Airport Operators Association will be hosting the typical winter conference and legislative reception at the Sheridan in Denver, January 23rd through 24th. I know we'll talk a little bit about that later possibly, but look forward to seeing you all there. Also wanted to just highlight that CAOA posted training that it was on airfield electrical lighting and signs for airports. And I thought that was a good one to highlight just because it was a good use of our grant funds. They used grant funding to provide that training. It was at Northern Colorado Regional Airport, about 3 days worth of training that was hands-on, really practical. And we had 38 people attend from 13 different airports. So that's pretty positive, I think, in terms of how they used it. Got really good reviews on it as well. CAO, we wanted to pass on specifically a thank you for that grant for the training also. I also wanted to talk a little bit about A1111 PFAS just briefly. I know we're going to hit that later. This is, I think, a little different part of that whole conversation, but those of you that were at the spring conference in Colorado Springs, know I was trying to sound the alarm. At DIA, we were concerned about the wording that was going into into the industrial stormwater general permit at the time.
Yeah.
That went through and it got finalized. However, we were trying to pull together some stakeholders, other airports, other fire departments that maybe had the same concerns, talk to them about our concerns, get them on board with helping us to push back on that. We didn't have that meeting because instead, Denver International Airport got into some legal processes with DDPHE. Those ended up being, I think, productive, I hope productive. And so we can expect in November to see some more, some adjusted language come out for comment. So I think that was a real positive kind of a result there, even though it didn't play out exactly how we expected, but good movement there. And then last, at Denver International Airport, I just wanted to talk about one thing that's going on here. The Center for Equity and Excellence in Aviation, so I call it CIA. It's a lot easier for me to say. So CIA, I think some of you have heard about already. Some of you maybe even worked with them, but that is a program that Denver International Airport has started up as part of Phil Washington's efforts with Vision 100 and a variety of other things. But that's one of the things that he really started getting off the ground for us. What that is a program, and it's got basically 3 areas, broad areas that it works with. One is business development training, career development training for, workforce, either current or future. That includes things like tours for students, clear up internships and other kinds of things. And then finally, a research and innovation lab. Now that program is already underway and working. Had some really good successes, including, I just kind of point to, they have that training for businesses. There are a lot of small businesses that are successful in town or in the city. And they want to come to the airport to do work or to make a bid on a project, be a contractor and that sort of thing. But they don't know how. And so these classes bring them in, teach them how, what it takes to be successful for bidding on something at the airport and run a business at the airport. And we've actually had some really good success with those people, then those business owners, being able to start up their business at the airport and grow. So that's been a positive thing. But all that comes down to, we're building out the last that I know of piece of undeveloped building that we have. So underneath the plaza by the hotel is a 66,000 square foot area. It looks like a basement. It's not been built out. We're building that out for that CIA program because they have a place right now to run. And if you're interested in seeing the details, I recommend you go to flightnumber.com. At the top of the website there, it's got CEEA as one of the tabs. Click on that. There's a short video. It describes the program. But I'm really excited about that because it'll provide space that we just do not have right now. And Hetty, I know, has already made contact with us. I think that some of the things she does already will dovetail really well with what they're doing. So I look forward to that. That's my report.
Excellent. All right, my fellow veteran sloper, Mr. Holzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a short report. This meeting, 30th Victor, my home airport, had its annual meeting on Saturday. Hot topics were the condition of the runway and the upcoming runway resurfacing project. Things are moving ahead, I'm pleased to say in that regard. Another topic up there of continued interest is antelope on the runway. That's getting worse and not better. We're kind of struggling to figure out how to do that. The fencing project that the division helped fund, it is helpful that we still have 2/3 yet to go to completely fence out the airport. So that's a continued challenge. Finally, again, just want to thank the division for our weather cameras, the AWAS cameras up there. They're just so awesome to be able to use and such a great help to everyone that aviates up there.
Very good. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I'm the pilot organization's representative for the state. I usually start with the Colorado Pilot Association because theirs is the biggest, and all of the organizations in Colorado for pilots, they all work together, and it's just wonderful that we got these organizations that just play well, work well together. We love it. So Colorado Pilot Association, they had a GA fly-in. The last one was in Alliance, Nebraska, with 7 planes and 14 people. And they have 2 more the final fly-ins for 2023 are in October for Cortez and Trinity. And Bill Marvel is asking, he's seeking to recruit some people to help organize these fly-ins for 2024. So if anybody has an interest in helping with the fly-in organization, Bill Marvel would be very open, especially if you're a Colorado Pilot Association member, to help him with the fly-ins. Let's see, Colorado Pilots Association is going to talk at 2 all district career fairs, November 9th and 10th. Jeff Hinkle is seeking volunteers to assist him. One is the 19th at Adams County 8th grade career fair at National Western Complex. The other one is the next day, November 10th, at the Douglas County 8th grade career fair at Legacy Campus. CPA Presents last topic was taking off on September 24th in conjunction with FAST. Those are usually recorded and you can watch those in hindsight. We'd recommend everybody listening to get on and watch those. The Colorado Mountain Flying courses were wrapped up for 2023 on September 23rd. In 2023, Bill Sandifer and his team presented June 24th, August 19th, and at Oshkosh EAA Air Adventure to 245 pilots. Let's see, the CPA website now has an advocacy page. So Brian Garrett has done a very, very good job with that website. Just a reinforcement that CPA does not create the flight schools traffic, you know, the practice areas. They just put it on the website. So the flight schools create the practice areas and not CPA, but along with the flight school traffic areas being on the website, he now has this great advocacy page for noise, lead, whatnot. So just take a peek at that because that's a really great thing that they've done. And then CPA's Gary Toby's working very closely with Kelly Sloan, Chris Swathwood, Cava, and Brad Chester of AOPA in regard to very careful and respectful discussions and media rebuttals for health and lead issues, or lead and noise issues. The KBJC and community roundtables at Centennial and KBJC will be coming up in the next couple of months. If your eyes peeled for those, if you would be interested in attending those. And then, of course, not to mention the Boulder, everything that's happening in Boulder Airport and attending those meetings as well. And CPA is going to have an annual meeting November 11th at Rocky Mountain Metro, upstairs above Bistro, Blue Sky Bistro in the Mount Evans room. That's on November 11th. Colorado Aviation Historical Society just had their Hall of Fame. David Lane attended. And we inducted John Elleberry, Major General U.S. Air Force, retired, Larry Ulrich, and the late Colonel Dillard Pickwalker. Women in Aviation chapter just had was an aviation day. It was fabulous as usual. And they're having a holiday party at Flight Code Tower on Thursday, November 16th. And the Women in Aviation National Conference is going to be at the Gaylord March of 2025. So that's gonna bring a ton of people in. Steve Lee, lots of people at the Gaylord for the Women in Aviation Conference in a year and a half. Colorado Business Association, I've already talked about that, rebuttal to the Flint, Michigan media comparison to lead levels. Let's see, Experimental Aircraft Association here in Colorado, they hold monthly DMC and IMC meetings. Boulder, Greeley, Fort Collins, Loveland, Erie, and Centennial. My report has dates of when they do those and what their topics were. Departure woes is one of them. Colorado 99s has been very busy. They had some of their members with EAA did the Fun Fly Poker Run on September 30th at Delta. And they just had a brunch at Perfect Landing, and then went up to the wings over the Rockies for a social to see the T-28 Trojan. They're going to be flying out this Saturday to Ray Airport where the Brew and Q fly in. If anybody's interested in doing that, should be fun. 99 will be flying out there. And they had a business meeting last night. Their scholarships are due October 1st, and their spring scholarships were announced in June. They earmarked the Compass Rose on September 9th at Centennial, as far as I know. They still did that with EAA 301. And then their members participated in the Air Race Classic, and next year they are looking for sponsors, local Colorado businesses and companies to sponsor the terminus that's going to be in June at Fort Collins or Norco Airport. So the seeking sponsors, give you a heads up on that, give you 9 months to prepare or spread the word that they would love to have sponsors for that. A couple other things that they've been doing, and they have a party on December 2nd. Commemorative Air Force, I don't have a report. Civil Air Patrol, I would love to get Martin Kelly as speaker for one of our next meetings. He's a wonderful speaker. Just a quick recap on Civil Air Patrol is that they expect 2023 to have 245 flights per month as an average. So that's super great. I have no report for Colorado Agricultural Aviation Association or the Colorado Seaplane Association. I have notes on FAA safety team and details on that in my report. I'm not going to go into those very specific things that they've been doing. Angel Flight West will complete 100,000 missions in 2023. I'm not sure which ones of those are Colorado. And then Wings Over the Rockies just opened a new exhibit called Mission Aerospace on September 23rd. So if you have been there, someplace great to check out. And they have a Behind the Wings podcast that's recorded. Great stuff to look at, listen to when you have a moment. I think Sean developed with that Wings Over the Rockies podcast.
I think they just reran that episode.
Okay. And I believe that's my report. Thank you,
Excellent.
Mr. Chair.
For the record, you and I think coordinate with Eddie on the detail on this, or this is all you.
Which
Thank you.
one? What?
The all the organizations and dates and everything else, the board's been handed out, the detail.
Oh, no.
Everything.
That's all from you.
Oh, thank you, Trina.
This is my report.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay,
It's always
well,
fun
the
to-
man of the hour.
It's always fun to follow up Trudy.
Yeah.
He has the best, most in-depth reports and really gives you an idea of all the amazing things going on in Colorado. But that's my part. I want to thank you so much for coming out. I really, it's been trying to make this place clean up a little bit is not the easiest thing to do, but we're so glad you guys come out. Zach, you raise your hand. Zach's my right-hand man. The two of us operate this airport 24/7, 365, and we do everything from the top to the bottom. And so he's been awesome to make it ready. And I also want to introduce Jim Keeney, our city administrator. He goes to bat for this city on a weekly, for this airport on a weekly basis, and without his support and frankly, the city Burlington and our council, we would do half the things that we're able to do here at the airport. So I want to
make sure I give Jim a shout out and thank him for being here today, so. Kind of going around the area, we're just chugging along out here in eastern Colorado. I keep hearing, you know, the issues people are having with bids and projects with all this bill money going around and costs are rising and it's tough to find contractors. So talking to Greg at Ray, they're having issues on the taxiway project with bids. So just kind of seeing that around the area. I hope we can work through that. The costs are too crazy, but you know, imagine we're gonna have to readjust some grants in the future here. But also, as Tribute mentioned, the Brew Q is coming up. Sounds like a fun way to spend a Saturday. Yes, me.
Pumpkin dropping.
And pumpkin drops, yeah. So that's this weekend. Is that right? That's this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, this weekend. Going over to Yuma, they just had a fly in September. They unfortunately got all of the weather. They had fog for half the morning and then the wind came up and but you know, the community was behind it. They had good community participation. I know Mike was there from Armstrong and so hopefully they do that again next year and maybe look out and get some better weather next time. Talking to Kyle Scott at Fort Morgan, they had a great turnout for their fly-in in the beginning of September. Also, they're working on repaving a parking lot there, and they have a new phone number for the ASOS. So I imagine they're going to get with Sean. New publication of the airport directory. Jeremy and Holyoke's still working on the solar farm near the airport. I haven't got a recent update, but that's going well for me. I know he was just wanting to make sure that getting through the legal piece is possible, but DIA's got, holy cow, the whole north end of the airport is solar panel, so it can be done, and I hope they're able to get that. That might be a revenue generator for them. So talking to David at Lamar, and they're getting ready this week, start on a seal coat on the crosswind runway down there, H26, I believe, at Lamar. Good. Guys out in Springfield, still waiting on their ramp taxiway project. Sounds like that's going to go to bid in January. So, and I'm going to save my report on Burlington for later in the meeting. We'll talk about some of the stuff we've been doing here. So,
Okay.
That's my report, Mr. Chair.
That sounds great. Thank you, Dan. Also, from my little corner of the world, a couple of interesting things have happened. We have an 8.5 foot wildlife fence around the airport, and about once a year, they like to graze sheep around the perimeter of the airport, all along the area. It's called El Becerro, and we run a couple of Great Pyrenees dogs to manage those sheep, and we had a lot of bedded down elk adjacent to the fence, and they made a run to try to actually broke the fence. And so it just goes to show you think there's no way, but when they're afraid, holy cow, they can do some damage. So that was pretty wild to manage that, and it was kind of comedy when we discovered it, that there was 3 elk inside the fence, and somebody said, those are actually inside the fence. And, no, that's impossible. And one guy did a hell of a job, but he actually corralled them and got them out the gate exits. It took about 2.5 hours to get those elk out. So you can. Another thing too, just interesting, it's kind of embarrassing, but to show, but it just illustrates how critical AWAS is to airports. A lot of people don't realize you have a beautiful day like we do today, and you have a commercial airline, they will not dispatch or release if you do not have accurate weather running. So our automated weather, which we had just had an inspection with the FAA, there was a power supply or something low voltage that knocked out a brand new processor, and so we went 2 days without AWAS, and those flights, one of those flights I got on had to divert to Montrose. So it's a very difficult to explain to passengers when you have a beautiful day like that, and that they can't do that. So we are always making sure, because we are so remote, it take easily 2 days to get the parts. So I already have backups that were delivered yesterday, so hopefully this doesn't happen again, but it just highlights how critical it is to really even general aviation. There's a lot of charter operators and what have you that won't go in unless they have current weather. So, yeah, kind of embarrassing, but, also highlights the importance and, shout out to DBT Transportation Services to finally fix this up. So. And that's all I have. So, let's go on to our director's report. Director.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a few things to cover with you. I think first and foremost, really excited. We have received a complete state infrastructure bank loan application from the Telluride Regional Airport for $10 million. We expected for development of new hangar facilities. So we're going to work with CDOT's accounting and finance folks, get the requisite SIB loan committee put together to review the document with a financial recommendation for the board to consider at our meeting in December. So we're pretty happy that'll be the first SIB loan application that we considered under the new rules that were changed earlier this year that removed the Transportation Commission from that process. So all goes well. We would assume that in December the Telluride Regional Airport will have an SIB loan application. We're excited to see that. Thanks, Kenny, for being patient as you work with some issues. Have the wins, they change things on the back end in the sales force.
Well, thanks to Todd. We really appreciate patience
for that. So we're excited about that. Just a couple of other things. I shared with you previously that on Monday, October 23rd, State Attorney General Phil Weiser is holding a listening session about liquid gas and airport noise at the Superior Community Center. I've learned since then it was really put together by the Quiet Skies group out of the Rocky Mountain Metro area, and since then they've also reached out to the similar group down in Centennial that's arranging to have folks from Centennial attend as well. So you got the info. I'll be there just in listen only mode and happy to report out what I took away from that event on the 23rd. So I'll be up there for that. And then lastly, in August, thank you. You approved for me to attend and participate in the National Renewable Energy Labs Sustainable Aviation Forum in Dallas, November 1 and 2 last week. And I decided that with all the uncertainty over potential government funding over the next couple months, they want to push that to April. So we'll not be going to Dallas in November when we get to speed on that. So just a couple of other things to talk about. Steve had mentioned it very briefly about the PFAS firefighting foam issues. Back at our workshop in August, you all conceptually endorsed the idea of a partnership and collaboration with the Colorado Department of Public Health and the Environment to help airports get rid of their old firefighting foams. We transitioned to the new PFAS-free foam that's now starting to become available. There's one provider right now. There's a lot of uncertainty with that bill. I just sat in yesterday on the CDPHE and some folks with the ARC working group here in Colorado. The biggest concerns right now can focus around, well, what do you do with your vehicles who had PFAS foam, and then how do you clean it out to a level that is acceptable? The challenge is there is no federal guidance, there's no state guidance, there's no industry guidance. There's really nothing that says here's what you have to do to make it acceptable, and understandably everybody's told us and invest any money to do anything and then have it be, well, that's not enough, that's not the right thing. So long story short, it's still in a process of developing. We're partnering with Dan and our working group at CDPHE to kind of come up with some guidance. So for now, we still have that potential one-time state budget initiative on our radar screen, but not really moving forward at this moment until some more funds become available. I didn't know, I learned from the ARC working group here in Colorado. It's actually really cool. It's led, the representative is Gina Gonzalez, the fire chief at Colorado Regional Airport. She knows ARC really, really well. She was explaining to us yesterday that there's concern that if you mix and we can do PFAS foams together, they can coagulate and not play well with each other. And so there's a lot of issues with that we're learning. Anyway, long story short, what we're hoping to do is maybe on the second day of CAOA is put together for the workshop with CDPHE, the ARC working group, and then interested airports, and have them sit down and talk about what they're all learning. So just a quick update on the PFAS initiative that we still have our the last thing I want to talk a little bit about, we spent a lot of time talking about in our, go to the next slide, Sean, we talked a little bit about, a lot about at our workshop was, what does the structuring organizational situation of the division look like going forward, given what we see coming down the pipe, given revenues that allow us to do more grants, more statewide initiatives, more cool things. You saw the slide back in August. It kind of shows the history of drawdowns and where we're headed, that number is going up significantly. That's not the chart I was looking at in there, but okay. But long story short, we issue more grants and we got more funding to do all of that. It's gonna take more workload on the team. And so a couple weeks ago, we all sat down and every single one of us together spent 2.5 hours talking through, you know, what the workload looks like, where the challenges are, how do we continue to keeping the high performing team that we are right now when we have more grants, more drawdowns, more programs and things to manage. So if you go to the next slide, Sean, we talked a little bit about where we think we have some opportunity. And so what we sort of mapped out was an initial revised board chart that looks a little bit looks like this. This may not be the final version, but what it really focused on was, if you look down there, there's a new position, there's this thing called contracts and statewide initiative specialist. I think as we communicated, talking to the team, is that we realized that, you know, that's where we have the most. Right now, we're doing a great job, but if we add more to our plate, we're probably have a challenge continuing to issue grants timely, drawdown processing timely. If we add a new PFAS program that's complicated, we're just kicking off our economic impact study update as well. Whatever the new things coming down the road, I think the team collectively comes back with bandwidth would be most helpful, would be to add that sort of capacity there. So you can see that as one potential new position in our work chart. But then the other thing we've done is sort of, again, we talked about structured this in a way that provides our small teams opportunity for advancement professional. Now, right now, we've got me, Todd is a program manager, and 3 equally situated planners underneath. So, again, we don't have a lot of turnover, but when we do, we don't have a lot of opportunity for somebody to say, well, I've been here for 7 years. What's my next step in terms of complexity, responsibility, compensation? What we've done here is created, again, as we talk about, no matter what, I think Todd's position needs to transition into that of a deputy director, which again, is the role really fills today for all intents and purposes. With that position, then overseeing education and outreach specialist position, the potential new contracts administrator, and then a planning manager who would oversee an intern, and maybe have an intern as well as 2 planners, including one that would be a little bit higher complexity, more experience required, more background, more education, to be a potential promotional opportunity within. What I would point out is that the expectation with this is that the planning manager still retains a planning region itself. So we're not going to more planning necessarily. We're just providing for some upward mobility there. So the other things that really don't change, communication position, Sean and Bryce would continue to report to me directly. But that's what we mapped out as a team here a couple of weeks ago. And I just want to show that to you. Get your feedback if you have any. Again, like I talked about in August, this is a long process. The goal will be to eventually have any changes that we implement in effect July 1 of our next fiscal year, because we'll have a lot of work to do if this works. But this is sort of what I think the team talked about. You know, I'm looking around seeing nods, and I opened it up if anybody has anything that I missed. But it was really a great collaborative discussion as we went through this, because obviously it involves every single one of us. And I want to make sure we had everybody's input, think about what it would look like going forward.
Excellent. Any questions?
Have you thought of classifications already, or is that coming later?
We have not. We wanted to talk about the bandwidth and what the responsibilities are. The next step, Steve, that we're going to look through is we use things that we started using as a tool that Mike Chavez introduced us to back when we did our initial performance audit back in 2015, where we had all our challenges, called RACI matrix. And we take it, and the RACI is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. And what you do is you take a position, all of your key functions for your organization, and you say, well, here's who's responsible, here's who's accountable, here's who's consulted, and here's who's informed. When we put all that together, you can see when we've got blanks, or where there's too many, people paying attention to one thing. So we're going to take a look at that next. And then the next step after that would be to update our job descriptions, which then translates in the CDOT process to the classification in terms of the pay, equity, other similarly situated across CDOT. So that's our process. We learned that it's now significantly simpler and less complicated to add a position than it was just a couple of years ago. So that's good news for us. I would argue that there is no empire building. You go around 9 to 10 full-time positions. It's not a big deal in terms of CDOT's 3,300 or so full-time equivalents, but I think we thought this checks a lot of boxes: bandwidth for the future, promotional opportunity, challenges, succession plan, all of those boxes kind of been checked with this concept. So,
Very good.
so our next
Hey,
plan.
hey,
Oh, yeah, Mark, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm still outside. Never know remotely when I can, you should interrupt. I just, my comment is that, I think the timing is very appropriate for this. And, one of the things that I witness and observe of the division staff is that nobody stays within their bubble. They work across horizontally to help each other. But when you look at least in my involvement now for last 3 years with the division, the duties and responsibilities on the division continue to grow. And so, I've worried a little bit, to be honest about it, about being a bit understaffed. And I think financially, we can support this. So this is, so I'm a supporter of adding the positions and organizing in this way. It makes a lot of sense, knowing that the team will still work horizontally and vertically with each other to get the job done. That's never been an issue.
Yeah, well said, Mark.
So my next step is, Mr. Chair, next week I have my monthly meeting with CDOT Executive Director Shoshana Liu, Deputy Director Herman Stockmeyer, both staff, solid chafing, that's what I would say. And I'm going to present this to them. Again, they don't necessarily approve it, but I want to make sure I have their endorsement of what we're after. If that's the case, we want to fine tune this a little bit, have some discussion with staff, and bring a revised org chart team for approval at the December meeting. If you all approve that, we'll then undertake the process that they do job descriptions, get them classified, and move forward in the idea of having it all in place by July 1 next year. Which might be optimistic, except HR processes and CDOT don't always do.
Yeah, and I think we discussed this at the workshop and kind of kicking this off, this process. So that's great if you're already hopefully December first in action. So that's great.
So that's it, my direction.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I did not include this in the packet. It was just easier to have this discussion where we said.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, let's go to our financial update, Mr. Shutt.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Going through the financials here, before I start talking about it, I will point out, again, you see a little bit of an abnormal flow there with a super low number back in July. That's because it was done in the app United did not file in that month, and therefore, August numbers were higher. When I talk about this September, August number, and say it's actually up, that's what I'm referring to, that's smoothed out balance. For historical context, that used to happen every other month. So I would manually do a different slide so we can see that. If this continues, which I have no reason to think it will, we have some questions. If that continues, then we'll change this to more of a manual slide instead of just grabbing the data. But just wanted to explain that to your question when I go through my saying there was an increase. So September's revenue did come in at 4.7 million, bringing the year-to-date total at 12.3. Our initial forecast for FY24 was revenue at 62 million. As always, numbers revised, revisited, revised after the quarter, which is where we're at right now. We're not adjusting the revenue forecast at this time. We're tracking close like that 62 million after 3 months. Again, the first 3 months, the way things are reported, the tools are always a little bit skewed. So the next time we will look at providing action with the January CAA meeting, I suspect to probably bring it down a little bit, but busy months here, October, November. Breaking it down, that 4.7 million was 84.5% of forecasted 5.5 revenue, but it's skewed by roughly 500,000 Southwest filings that were delayed coming in. In comparison, month over month, it's 18% less than September 22 revenue of 5.6, and 5.3 more than August 2023 revenue of 4. That's that number that doesn't line up. Turnover forecasting 5.5 in revenue as continued strong flows numbers and increases in oil prices could maintain a healthy revenue stream. Next slide. As we get our cash balance, our 60 balance finished September at 30.8 million. which is a 3.4 million increase to 27.4 in August. As expected, it did increase, outpacing expenses on the tax expenditure side. And then just to combine it with lightly normal month of drawdowns, we saw a little more increase than we expected. Cash balance is actually expected to drop by about 2.6 million this month, largely due to a roughly $3.3 million drawdown for the Grand Junction Road project that is already processed this month. Was the September month that number. We know that number is going to come down this month a little bit, and that's a great thing. Next slide is just our tax first combined month. For September, we had 2.6 million in disbursements, 2.34 which was sales tax, 13,000 for excise on the abjet side, and 16,000 for excise on the abgas side. Disbursement continued to fall well, the expected trend. Again, you see the month delay on the revenue numbers there, and then we'll August, July reported revenue. The higher than September because of the higher than reported in August because that united filing. But they line up as expected based on that. It's a good thing. Our contingency slide, again, the CAB approved our 2024 CDA program at 16 million. As you can see from the graphic above, which as a reminder, 12 months from now shifts from, hey, this is what we're forecasting to, hey, this is our worst case forecast. So we have that pessimism built into it. As you can see, by the end of fiscal year 2025, we will be looking at a shortage for what we need to have on hand. It's a good because again, we'd be looking at 10 months of that being a worst case format, which we know is not likely to happen. But to be responsible, we do calculate that. If you look at 2024 section, we will have more than enough cash for the current grant programs that are out to the release. Numbers look good there. Again, our worst case forecast has oil at $40 a barrel and foliage is down to 35. As of printing, it was $85 a barrel, well over 40 gallons. And just depending on the day, it's been anywhere from 85 to 95 over the last couple of weeks. It's bounced around like crazy, as I'm sure everybody is aware of that. We are significantly above anything that's under a worst case forecast. For our administration expenses, again, our mandated 5% cap of that 2023 revenue for the year is $3 million, and the cap approved $825,000 in admin expenses back in January 2023. To date, we're at $150,000, projecting for a spend of $750,000 this fiscal year. That would be 1.2% of that 2023 revenue, so well below that 5% cap. So, as always, our admin expenses are a fraction of any revenue and stuff like that, and well below any cap. Now, the final slide, Denver International Fuel Flow. A lot of cities are tracking this because of the importance of fuel flow in Denver. Denver had 44.5 million gallons of flows in September. It was down 1% from August 44.7 and up 8% from September 2022 numbers of 41.1. They were up a little bit from the forecast of 42.8. I did mention last month I was expecting a little more than the forecast on the numbers we got based on historical trends, which did end up being the case. That was great. The 44.5 fuel flow in September was a record at Denver for September. As you can see from the chart there, our orange line for the last 3 months, and then forecast for October as well. Those are all record highs over 2019 numbers. So they're all following expected trends, as you can see, up and down over each month, which is why we use that one method to forecast. And yeah, to continue to hold records in Denver for fuel flow, so that's awesome. October's forecasted number is 45.7 million gallons. That would be up 3% from September flow. And again, as you can see from the chart, that's pretty much in line with expectations. So it should be coming in that area. Yeah, fuel in Denver is setting records every month. It's pretty awesome to see. And I'm excited that it is following expected monthly trends too. It's just every month that number resets. It reforecasts upwards in the future based on the trend. And it works really well for being able to predict our revenue. And final slide is just our cash balance allocation. As we mentioned, we have 30.8 million in cash at the end of the month. Our expected program spend 60 million in CDAC for 2024. We do show a negative balance on this reserve amount, as we talked about, as your summary contingency slide. So that purple slide there in the reserves, That's actually a negative balance. I know it shows up weird on here with the pie chart, but that's just showing kind of how much we have until we have all the money in hand to account for that. Which will probably be sometime here, early, late this calendar year or next calendar year, we'll actually up over that level. Again, that'll start to accumulate, we'll have this bigger reserve, we'll get on next year, plan or next year, and use most of that, and it's the negative again. So just from a strategic standpoint, you do want to show that. Again, breaking it down, current cash balance is 30.8 million. Expected spend left on admin and building expenses a year, 655,000. Expected spend on state initiatives, the rest of this fiscal year is 2.28 million. And projected to spend in CDAG the rest of the year is 15.5 million. Leaving our future CDAG balance remaining after FY24 of 17.7 million. Again, a large chunk of that is obviously the 16 million program. Or showing our reserves in the negative at 5.35. Again, that's good responsible planning and budgeting there, because if we have it all in hand, we got a 50 million cash balance real quick. So nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to be concerned about. Honestly, the reserve numbers, less than I thought it would have been at this point. We ended up probably back to 2.7 last year, or last year, we should say, in revenue. So that number will continue to trend up, even with the drawdowns, which are part of the expected expenditures. This would be remaining good shape, revenues are high, oil high, expenditures are doing what they're expected to do. So we're quite pleased with our fiscal standing. I'm happy to answer any questions on anything on here or anything not on here.
Questions?
Yeah, I have one question, if Kenny, if possible. So, hey Bryce, I think it was last board meeting. We raised the question and you mentioned that on the cash balance side, that the state invests that money, and we're not responsible for those investment decisions. What I don't remember is, did you say if we get the benefit, the division gets the benefit of those investments in what is a higher interest environment?
Yeah, so the cash balance that we have on hand in the 160 account, it's not actually invested, it's just holding there, but you get I'm pretty confident saying that our interest that we made just on our bank account last month was $85.
Okay.
So we're making a lot of money in interest. Now, before I started, that was something that was reported on the board. I'm happy to do so if the board wants. But yeah, we're making a not insignificant amount of interest right now on having this high cash balance. Now, we're not keeping it high. I've laid out here, but actually the negative from a commitment standpoint. But yeah, it certainly is something that just ticks in on the revenue every month. And it is accounted when I give you that total revenue number. The interest is accounted for, because again, it's not immaterial. Heck, it's 3 times what our excise revenue is.
Yeah. Well, we're not used to that too.
No, we're not. I mean,
Extrapolate that kind of money.
Extrapolate that 8,000 was last month over a year, you're almost $50 interest. So
yeah,
it is something that contributes to the revenue cash balance that we then utilize, but it's not an actual investment account where it's at risk or could increase exponentially. And I'm pretty confident saying that's just the state policy, how the fund account is set up as well.
All right.
Okay,
I hope that answered your
thank you.
question.
Yep, that does. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, going forward, I think that's a great idea. We'll talk internally, but I think maybe quarterly we can report on that as an extra slide.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep. So just to give you an idea of what
Yeah, that sounds great. Nice job, guys. Any other questions? Okay, let's go to our administrative updates. Mr. Story.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a quick update to let the board know any grants that this staff has issued administratively recently. So we've only had one recently, and that was a grant for the Burlington-Kit County Airport to hire an intern for their airport operations. And that's expected to last about 26 weeks. And we had that funding, they're out for collection, and that was $9,880. And that funding was approved by the board in January. Great, we have to answer any questions.
Any questions? Excellent, thank you. Okay, let's get to the highlight of our program today. Industry update, Mr. Malia.
So we've got some really exciting things coming down the pipeline for the airport here, and exciting and challenging, as Jim can attest to the challenge part of, we've got this amazing opportunity for these grants, but we still have to come up with a match on our side, and Jim's worked so hard, to basically say yes to every time I bring him a grant, and it's been pretty amazing. And let me just give you an example on some of the stuff, as far as in process right now, we've got a generator grant through the bill funding that, we had some holdups on some of the parts that's gonna get pushed, into the next calendar year. We've got that in process. The taxiway design for taxiway Alpha is in process right now. Looking into next year, we've got the construction for the reconstruction for taxiway Alpha. And that's gonna be by far the biggest project that I have participated in since I've been operating this airport. It's, looking at $400 million projects, just doing that. So that's exciting. The taxiway has held up actually incredibly well. It's 15 years past its lifespan already, and it's still there, which is good. We've had a couple of issues over the last couple of years that have really kind of put it in the front of the priority list, with concrete issues. But that's gonna be a fantastic, and it's gonna serve us well into the future, next year to knock that out. We have also talked, depending on how I believe the generator grant goes, we're have a need to replace our runway end identifier rating. It's probably the oldest piece of infrastructure we have on the airport now that we still use. Not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure those came from Stapleton Airport when it closed. I don't know if you guys recall, we did a lot of work in 2006 on Rona. I don't think that was part of it, and so they held up amazingly well when you consider the age. The previous record holder was the runway and taxiway signs that we did in 2020, which were from Stapleton. If you saw my coffee table out in the lobby, that's old Stapleton museum piece right there. So it's kind of fun to take those old ones and recycle and do some fun stuff with them. But so we're looking at that. Hopefully, maybe if there's enough money left over from the generator grant, we'd love to put those real lights in. We'll have to see how that pans out. In 2025, possibly, I just filled out a grant application for the bill money for the terminal grant program. That has quite a bit of little upgrades that have just been kind of piling up and compounding here around the airport. I'll give you an example of a few of them. We're looking at replacing the HVAC system here. This aging in the summer does not keep up. This immaculate floor that we have that we're looking at here, we're looking to rejuvenate it, possibly do an epoxy coat or just a grind and reseal on it, but it's quite expensive per square foot. It's like, say $7 or $8 a foot.
Yeah.
To do that. So when you extrapolate that over 7,800 square feet, it piles up pretty quickly. One of the things that we'd like to get funded as well is our equipment storage building that we keep our snowplow and our tractor in is not insulated or heated. And in the wintertime, it's really difficult to get those things going when it's cold. The hydraulics take a while to heat up, and it adds time onto our snow removal process. So hopefully we get that as part of that. We've also put in for new flooring and furniture and FBO to update that. That's over 10 years old now. So a lot of little things that would be a really big facelift on the airport. That's $163,000 worth of items that we put the grant in for. So we'll see how that pans out. 2026, got our runway fog seal maintenance coming up again. As you guys saw, the runway's in great shape, and that every 5 years doing that fog seal is just crucial to keeping that runway in good condition. So that's coming up again in 26. Also, whoever drove in to see the condition of our access road, that's in for 26 to completely remove and replace the access road. And that absolutely would not have been possible without the infrastructure law on here that allows us to do projects that are farther from the center line of the runway. So really excited about that. We hope it's still there by then. It's deteriorating pretty quickly, but we've got a plan for that redoing that. So, they total up all these out through 2026. That's $5.9 million. That's a significant amount of money for a small airport like us. And so we're really excited. It's a lot of, like I mentioned, this airport is operated by myself and Zach 24/7, 365. One of us is around. So it's a challenge, but we both love it. And you know, I just have aviation running in my veins, and it's what you do, you know. So that's kind of I want to talk about the simulator. Most of you had a chance to see the simulator, and the thing has just been so amazing. You know, we didn't have that fully operational and certified until June. So we're talking about a 4-month span. We've had now over 120 kids get to go fly and get through it. I've got a couple of students that are looking at doing instrument ratings that we're going to start on the simulator here pretty soon. Was it next week? Zach, we've got a school that's coming. That's like it's around 70 students, depending on which race they're bringing. It's about 70 students that are going to come out for that one. So we call it the kid count just keeps climbing, and these are all kids. We're planting the seed of aviation. Absolutely. And that's going to be our airline pilots here. So we're really excited about that. I hope that anybody who wants a chance to fly the sim before you leave, please do so. It flies really nice. It's so cool back there. And that again, Hetty and you guys, that was just amazing. Amazing opportunity for us to get that simulator. We're so excited. That's kind of all I have as far as updating the airport. There's a lot of exciting stuff. This is more projects than we've done in the last 20 years. So there's a lot down the pipeline. It's going to be a big challenge to work through the airport operations, like especially during the taxiway project next year, keeping the operations open. But it's all stuff that needs to happen with this airport. I mean, if it wasn't for these grants, this airport just wouldn't exist. There's no way that we can get on the different, you know, for example, the pods every 5 years. That's a significant amount of money, and so we are just thrilled to be able to have this funding opportunity.
Well, I think it's great, Dan, and I think it starts with great leadership and community support. I've been in this area over 25 years, and Burlington has always been known as a gem in terms of airports, general aviation airports, really in the state of Colorado. So, Jim, for your benefit, we see it, and that's why I think you get so much support when you have great leadership and great community support. This is a great example, shining example for the industry. So,
I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate Jim's efforts in going to bat for the airport on a weekly basis, because it's not cheap, and we joke about during budget time, my budget is the most difficult budget to balance in the city, because depending on the project we have, you know, it can go from a $500,000 budget from 1 year to $4.5 million the next year, like just like that, and none of the other departments swing so crazy like that. And so it's a big challenge for Jim, and we work together pretty hard on from that budget every year. And I got to say though, like I said before, I bring all these grant opportunities to Jim, and he just says, yes, we'll figure it out, you know, as far as our funding piece. And this airport would not be half of what it is right now for that support that we get from Jim on the administrative side. And then our council is they understand the value of the airport that has in our small town. So it's been a lot of fun, because we've been doing a lot of things for being such a small airport.
That's great. That's great.
Well, we're very happy to support the airport and the airlines board overall as well. I have a great time out here. What Daniel didn't tell you is that I also go as the night watchman. So I have a lot of fun out here, and we truly enjoy what goes on here. And like you said, I'll do whatever it takes to keep this airport functional, operational, and sustainable for the future as well. Because it's very important.
Well, I think it's safe to say you have the state of Colorado endorsement as well. And thank you for allowing us to have Daniel on our board, serve on our board. He's a great asset to our team. So thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a statement, well, my question at the end of it, so. That truck, as we were coming in, somebody made the comment that that clearly is not a surplus truck from. I agree, it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But the runway and identifier lights, that was really the genesis of our surplus program, to be honest. And so I'd like to get a picture, if you'll let me.
Yeah.
In front of those suckers.
Yeah,
before you
absolutely.
tear 'em up.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we don't always sell junk, I can tell you that.
And on that note, I didn't mention about how much we appreciate that surplus program. Because with our limited budget, we're not going out and buying new ops vehicles or anything like that. And that, Caitlin, thank you for all the work you do on that. You guys saw how beautiful that pickup is out
Yeah,
there.
pickup is a PIA.
Thank you.
Yes,
No, that's
And,
amazing.
you know, over the years, you know, we also kind of in the city of Burlington, kind of has a little bit of a trickle down effect, because once you get past that 2-year window, we pass that equipment down to our streets guys in the city of Burlington itself. So, we're gonna try to, depending on how these picks up in the future, that thing is nicer than almost all of our ops pickups in town. There's a little envy going there, so we're gonna, in the future, try to buy some more pickups and it's just, we wouldn't be able to own that kind of equipment if it wasn't for that. Even, yeah, every one of those pieces of equipment that are sitting out there, that's kind of my primary ops equipment, the snowplow truck. Obviously, that tractor we use year round. We use, for snow removal, and then we've got 205 acres of grass around the airport environment that we keep below 12 inches at all times. And so that tractor gets used year round. That was a grant acquisition in 2011, I believe, from you guys, and that thing is going strong, and we work really hard to take care and maintain our equipment and keep it in tip-top shape. And it's kind of nice because it's just Zach and I, we have full control of it. I don't have to loan it out to anybody, so we keep it really nice. That snowplow dump truck out there was purchased, I think 99, maybe 2000. But that's lived its entire life. It's never spent a night outdoors. And it's at 11,000 miles on it. I'm just running down the runway back and forth, and that thing is like, the CDOT guys, when it's in town, they kind of drool over it because it's such good condition.
That's why you need the night watch.
What was that?
That's why you need the night watch.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, you know, that stuff, it just lasts longer right here. We take really good care of it, or we try to be really top of the maintenance on everything, and being small, it's a little easier for us to manage the fleet of our equipment out here. But it's a lot of mowing in the summer, a lot of nothing you guys don't know about. But
How's your one lake management?
it's, you know, it comes and goes. As far as wildlife issues, Jim is the coyote caller. His dogs help keep the coyotes at bay.
Okay.
And, you know, occasionally with this big, beautiful tree road that we have that ends right at the taxiway, occasionally in the wintertime we'll have issues with deer. And it got to the point one year where I had a note out and we had got the Parks and Wildlife involved, and I got so close to getting non-lethal shotgun ammunition, but they left before I could get all the cool crackling stuff and the red bullets. I didn't get to play with any of that stuff. For the most part, yeah, and I'm out checking the runways and I have a presence here every day. And so a lot of the wildlife kind of stays away. Occasionally we'll get coyote dens and fox dens, but we don't have issues so much with, you know, the ground animals, badgers and ground prairie dogs, that kind of thing. So it hasn't been too bad actually, but I have been known to chase deer off the airplane to depart on occasion. So
That's great.
it's kind of fun. We had, you know, Jim's in house here on the field, and these big, beautiful owls that for the longest time have been here. And I actually found one that was dead on a different part of the property. I don't know if the one is still there, but they do a good job of keeping the bunnies and all the little stuff kind of at bay.
Oh, okay.
Occasional pheasant.
Sure.
In the tree row, so.
Well, good. Well, any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Appreciate it. And
Thank you.
after the meeting, anything, you know, open house, go check anything out.
Okay.
You know, it's, let me know what you want to take you around if you want to see anything, so.
All right. All right. Well, thank you. All right. Next, we'll do the program updates. education outreach, Eddie?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I wrote up this memo, I only had about half of the grants, for fiscal year 24 contracted, and we actually have about 10 out of the 12 by the end of this week.
Oh, great.
So, Bryce helped me light a fire, which was great. I attended the September Colorado Health Association meeting, to talk about the potential partnering for, 2024 AirVenture. And seemed like the members were really excited about partnering with us and kind of collaborating on something for next year. Another kind of new exciting thing out there in the realm of education is that the Colorado Department of Education has put out credentials for drone instructors in K through 12 for the secondary CTE, which is the career and technical education transportation operations drone pathway. So kind of exciting news. I will be attending the AOPA High School STEM conference next month. So I can kind of help a little bit more about getting the AOPA curriculum into Colorado High School. So I'm really excited about that one. Some of our most recent events attended, actually Trinity joined me with this one. It was for the Aspen Higher Learning Flight Academy open house, and I love the picture, right?
I do too.
She was just excited about being in the cockpit of the 737. So yeah, Trinity brought out the VR goggles for visionary training resources.
She wasn't doing a roll.
Is it most explosive procedures, Trinity? Is that about? Yeah. So, but there were so many kids coming out that day, and what's interesting about Aspen is you kind of think, well, you know, it's the wealthy, like, why do they need any kind of help, you know, with these things? But you think about most of these kids are, you know, their parents work up and down the valley, so they are not wealthy in any way, shape, or form. So they do have needs. So it's such a tremendous program going up there. They have Diamond DA40s diesel. So they're using Jet A, which of course their Atlantic is selling SAFs. So they're doing their part. So it's really exciting for them. And it's just fun to be up there and talk to everyone. And Kevin LaRosa, who did a lot of the flying for Top Gun Maverick, was one of the speakers at the Friday night gala. It was their first gala, so
He's a good speaker.
really excited about. He's really cool guy.
Yeah.
Really cool guy and very young.
Right.
Let's see, some of the events coming up. The Grand Junction Air Show is this weekend as well. There's the Brewing Queue, and then there is also the Four Corners Fly-In, and that's going to coincide with the annular solar eclipse. And I think the way the path is, they are close to 90 to 100% with the eclipse, which is pretty incredible. So, Dave and I will be doing the Southwest Aviation Day, November 4th, and that's going to be at BJC at Shelter. And the 2023 Colorado Ag Aviation Association Convention and Trade Show is November 14th.
Excellent.
That's it for me.
That's great. Any questions? Okay.
One thing, Mr. Chair, is it's frustrating the headies defense about the grant contracting. We rely on CDOT's folks to enter new vendors into our system, and new grant.
Oh, yeah.
And we've not ever done business with before new. We've had some significant issues getting some of those folks to actually enter data against to get issued a grant.
Oh.
Working through that, but it's always frustrating when we get come out and processes that are external to our.
Right.
So, thank you.
Way to be persistent. Yeah, thanks, Eddie. Okay, very good. Let's, and real, update on see Scott here. We have How's the information?
No, I should have updated this to me, because Scott's a busy guy who's not here, but really just a quick update, still doing data collection on this, Mr. Chair. We have 2 deliverables that I will share with you after this meeting that are the first task under this. One is a literature review of all of the different studies and documents and reports related to alternative and power aviation that exists today. It's a great summary they put together, and that they also put together a very detailed, always changing summary of the current technology, aircraft, and the things they're testing, where they're at. That's going to be something to continue to update because it literally changes every month as new technologies are moving forward. So I'll share both of those documents with you after this. I did not include them in the packet, it's short. The biggest thing that NREL is focused on right now in terms of the electric aircraft data collection is collectively we identified 12 airports that we want to get very detailed electrical utility usage information from, so that we can start to map that out with aircraft operations, especially with flight schools. Those airports included Colorado, Rocky Mountain Metro, Springs, Durango, Grand Junction, Colorado Air and Spaceport, Denver, Telluride, Centennial, Northern Colorado, the range is big across the state, different sizes. We really kind of focus on airports that have a lot of flight train activity, because that's the first part about the battery electric. Then we also took a look at 2 airports outside Colorado, Albuquerque and Philly. That is it's really a lot of GA things going on. So anyway, we're moving forward with that very well, and that's it.
Okay. Any questions? All right, let's, I don't think we have much to say here on the next item.
Hey, and Bill, I said again, we're kind of hearing from back there, so I might have to come up and we're still up front here or sit over here.
Thank you.
Oh, this is the legend himself.
So on October the 3rd, Series Technologies, our member at the FNL, sent a letter to the FAA saying that they can go on continue under the stop work order. So at that point, that puts us in a position that we need to find an alternative to this, where we are. That letter was, I was disappointed to see it, but it was unexpected, given the current state of affairs. So we put together a proposal that Dave and I will be talking. Did you see that invite?
I did, thank you.
Okay, so for 9 o'clock on Monday morning to talk to the leadership in next year to make a proposal. Basically, it's going to be that we're going to look to a follow-on vendor, in this case, to come in and utilizing the existing infrastructure and equipment we have to simply pick up the ball and run with it. Simultaneously or in parallel, we're going to be looking at siting standard legacy air traffic control tower. I'm preparing a comparative list on where everything is to talk to the airport folks. Dave and I'll probably go up there and discuss what the options are in greater detail. But that's, like I said, it's disappointing, but not only expected. The FAA, quite honestly, pretty much forced this by not paying the vendor, and they could only go so long without that. Subject to that, though, Series Technologies just did a shadow tower at Farnborough in the UK. So they have the technology and the ability to do it, but anyway, and the currently what's happening is the follow vendor that I'm looking at, or been talking to, they're actually two. One is Frequentis, Raytheon Frequentis team. The other one is Indra out of Spain. And both of them are very, they've got quite a bit of experience with these. Raytheon Frequentis team is going to the tech center. They're taking their equipment there in March of next year to do testing for their system design approval. Now, I went to the facility while I was back there doing a siting study at the AFTIL, siting for New Centennial Tower. And I visited that. They are duplicating exactly what we have for Collins. Pre-camera mass, stitching technology, it's what we have. The difference is they don't have radar.
Yeah.
Which is kind of stupid, but go figure, right? It's the FAA, they never did anything like that. So anyway, that's my report. Oh, yeah. Couldn't, you know, can't complete this without pointing out that, I was able to make it in before the Lancer or before the Pilatus. I just wanted to
Yeah,
point
thank
it
you.
out.
But let the record reflect, it's only because he departed yesterday.
Yeah. That's why you've got
If any
those
of us
extra
like to
tanks.
see an actual sheriff there, it's out here, I'm just telling you.
Well, thank you, Bill. One thing I do want to just kind of, for everybody's assurance, is that there is a temporary control tower currently at Northern, and there's no jeopardy of that disappearing or ending in the next few years.
Well, glad you brought that up,
Thank you.
man.
Yes,
Yeah, the mobile tower that's there is gonna stay, and the FAA has indicated that they're gonna give us the same deal that they gave Leesburg.
Okay.
Which is, and this will be an advantage to FNL, they'll get into the federal contract tower program based on having that mobile tower. Now, that is almost never done. But they're gonna do it for us. They said they'd do it for us.
it's good.
The caveat is that the airport will pay for the lease on that mobile tower.
Okay,
So
thank you. That's reassuring, but I imagine FNL meets all the criteria for a contract tower anyway. It's not.
they've already been accepted into the program.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah.
they made the VC, they were accepted into the program, which means they're eligible, but most people don't know that in order to be in the contract tower program, you have to have a tower.
Yeah,
So anyway,
well, that's great. Thank you, Bill. Any questions?
Yeah, just a comment from my side. And I had a chance to talk to Bill about this. I too am disappointed about the news, but I wonder, as I said in my report, with a new administrator, with Mike Whitaker having the experience that he's had with next gen and the technology improvements that have come from that, and especially around situational awareness, if that isn't an opportunity for us to get the attention at the top of the FAA on the importance and the benefits of having remote towers. Again, this technology is proven in other parts of the world, and it's something that we need for airports that are like NorCal. So it's just something for us to think about, pay attention to, and how do we utilize the other advocates of this, which are many of the associations, to get that message to Mr. Whitaker once he gets in the chair.
Excellent.
so one thing about that, Mike Whitaker was the deputy administrator under Michael Retta. And Mike and I went out when we were doing HIDLs, human in loop simulation for these. We went out to see that. He's very well aware of this program. I sent him talking points for his Senate confirmation hearing. And he unfortunately didn't get asked about that, which is too bad. Our senator did not do that.
Yeah.
He asked about the noise at Centennial.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, I agree. I kind of said the same thing to you. Why, what a missed opportunity. We're
We're
good.
excited. We think, Mr. Whitaker is a football.
Right.
It's confirmed that the timing would have been here sooner, but we're excited about him. And obviously, I know he'll be inundated with meeting requests when he gets appointed, but he will be on our radar to be sure to meet with us as soon as possible. Yeah.
All right. All right, Caitlin, give us the breakdown on the successful sale you had.
It was a wonderful sale. It was great. We had 30 airports that showed up at the sale itself, 29 of them bought equipment. We sold 53 of, I think, close to 75 pieces of equipment. There were 5 airports that had stuff for sale, and we sold three of them, Junction and Fort Collins. They didn't sell their item. It was $1,002,000 in sales, of which about 750 was board funded with the request that we made in August, additional request in August, and about 250 was local. We had 1 airport buy 4 items this year, which we haven't had any buy 4 in quite some time. Springfield is the first surplus sale they participated in, and those 2 gentlemen were so excited. One of them had already retired from the city, but he knew that this was something he had always wanted to participate in.
Yeah.
So he and his airport manager came up together, and even though they had retired from the airport and the city and everything, took time out of his personal life to come to the sale. They were there both days in person. They spent, I think, $86,000 to sale total. They were one of the bigger ones. But they bought 4 things, which was awesome. We had 7 airports by 3 items this year, which last year we only had 1 by 3. It was a great sale. The equipment that Denver provided was obviously great. And I can attest to that, as can a lot of the others. And there's always one instance when somebody says, "When are they gonna sell whatever?" I'm like, I haven't seen one of those in years. And then of course the next year we see one. So the road grader was one of those. The first time that I think Greg Pedroza, when he was brand new, said, "We love the road grader." And I said, "I've never seen a road grader." Right?
Yeah.
And that year we had a road grader. This year we had another road grader. Springfield was over the moon about that. The trucks have gone really well. And then just in CIP meetings that we had since then, we talked, Centennial was the one that jumped out at me. They have 1 piece of snow removal that was originally budgeted at 800,000, and it's now over $1 million. So that 1 piece of SRE at Centennial, more than 53 pieces to 29 airports around the state. So this story's got a lot of extra attention because Denver's fleet has just been recognized as being a green, sustainable fleet. And so they can use this as we're recycling this equipment to around the state and help the rest of the state be more sustainable. So we've gotten a lot of traction on this year's sale, more than just the good it does at airports, but the good it does for the airport story to everybody else as well. So I can't tell you how much I enjoy this program and appreciate all of your support year after year.
Well, thank you. Congratulations. And I do believe I think you told me this too, but I think Steve Lee was out there with a bucket and he was cleaning some of that equipment.
Yeah.
Very good.
So you did good.
Yeah, it's a hell of a job. Nice job, Steve.
Thank you.
Nice work. Thank you, and thank you to police. I know Dave followed up with a thank you to the CEO, Mr. Washington. He responded, so it's on his radar, and he's a big advocate for it. So I think it was a great idea that you followed up. So thank you. Caitlin, you probably wrote a letter, so. No? Oh, okay. Very good. Okay, very good.
Really find his way to Steve here.
Yeah.
I think I need to get Steve.
Okay, our next item is a legislative update, other than what we've already talked about. Dave, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, just a couple of things. I think, obviously, the Senate FAA reauthorization bill still hung up on a lot of disagreement about pilot training, side hour requirements, beyond renewable flights on Washington National. Of course, they're also Nestor working on the FAA administrator appointment, and on the House side, everybody knows some stuff that happened there. So we almost got to a shutdown. The good news is, the FAA is now funded to the end of the year, even though the rest of the government's not funded to the next month. So we should be a bit more protected from any of that. So hopefully that means we keep moving forward. We were really a little panicky about what it meant for the FAA shutdown to go into CIP season, because that would have meant there were no conversations with any of our partners at FAA about that. So we're wrapping that up as quickly as we can to make sure that we get all that done in the event there is another episode at the end of the year where FAA maybe is not at work on January 1. So we'll see on that. From the state perspective, I have had a couple of inquiries from Representative Kyle Brown from House District 12, just an area around Rockingham Metro. Does not have an airport in his district, but he's in that area, so it's surrounded by both Rockingham Metro. I don't have any detail, but he's looking at some kind of state level legislation to incentivize the availability of unleaded gas. Don't know what that looks like yet, haven't had any conversations, but certainly in a lot of conversations with CAOA and how to kind of keep up on that and make sure that as they keep something together, they've got good input, makes that good. Incentives are great, but they have to be paid for somehow. One of my biggest things that my intent right now is that any incentives are not coming out of our fund. Yeah, because that just takes away from your airports or see that funding. So we'll see how that works.
Okay, very good question.
Yeah, one question on that, Dave. The division's funding source, do I recall correctly, it's constitutionally protected? So it's, they can pass a bill, but they would have to amend the constitution to tap those funds.
I think so. I mean, you would argue a lot of it would be how crafted it goes for an aviation use, if it's for infrastructure. I would read, in as well as Representative Dixon, who is centennial about what we're thinking. I said, but like we talked about in August, they're really not in a position to start doing statewide initiative with infrastructure for unleaded gas, because right now there's not a lot of people smart. Everybody else knows the works and everything, and just basically haven't sit empty in a couple of years with something changes. So I told them we're absolutely looking to do that. So we don't have the financial resources to buy every airport that wants one, and unleaded gas tank, or by privately owned space operators infrastructure for a lot of that, but we're really thinking about it. So it's going to be an interesting session, I think, at the state level this year. Good news to everybody. It's not right conversation.
Well, and there could be a lot of good news in the next 90 days or so too, as it's kind of unfolding. So
Again, we will certainly gauge all of you. It could be different things, legislatively, or get to the staff. So that's it in the legislature.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's, Director Elaine, let's talk about the proposed calendar.
Sure, next regular meeting, Wednesday, December 13th at our offices. You don't want to miss that. That's required for the meetings and Colorado records training from the HD's office. So we basically is that the ugly sweater?
Oh yeah, make sure you wear your ugly sweater.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. And Steve already mentioned CAO Day, that's in January 23rd. Great.
Yeah, so, Ken let us know that the Sheridan is where the events will be, but the Sheridan has no rooms for any of them. So we have room at the Hilton, you like walk and a half away on the walls, we can rent a shuttle, but I have rooms for everyone as of right now. So if you do not need a room for Tuesday night, please let me know. Otherwise, your room is screwed.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Katie. Okay, other matters by the public or members, anybody else have anything they wanted to talk about before we go into executive session? Okay, well, with that,
Take a break.
let's take a break. Yeah. Yeah, sounds good.
Just quick housekeeping, the food, I believe, is here out in the lobby, but the tables are out here, so. When you think about the executive session, everyone's gonna be out ready to eat, but,
We'll be fine, the food will be fine until you guys are ever in executive session.
okay,
So we'll
okay,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I asked David to prepare his box and everything, so, but
Well, if that happens, you can't like.
so you want to just take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and go into executive session, okay? Thank you.
Martin, are you still there?
I am.
So
I am.
for the purpose of the executive session, I'm gonna end this meeting and I'm gonna send you a link for a new meeting, which is executive session. So,
Okay, great. Perfect.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. Somebody else give
People are,